Can I ask you a strange question? Have you ever looked up at the sky in your most desperate moment? Maybe because you believed in a creator. Or maybe just because there was nothing else left to do. Have you ever wondered why, even people who are skeptical of religion, sometimes still pray? In moments of fear. In moments of uncertainty. In moments when life feels so much bigger than themselves. But here's the uncomfortable question. What if prayer works, even when no one is listening? Not because the universe changes, but because the mind does. Today's subject isn't the theology of belief. It's the biology and psychology of prayer. In other words, why does prayer work, even without God? People have been praying for thousands of years. Different cultures. Different religions. Different languages. But what they do looks strangely similar all around the world. A quiet moment. Eyes closed. A few words whispered into the unknown. Why? Because prayer solves a very specific psychological problem. It creates a place where the mind can put its uncertainty. When life becomes unpredictable, the brain desperately searches for control. And prayer gives the feeling that something can still be done, even when nothing else can. From a scientific perspective, prayer is a practice of focusing the mind in a particular way and in a conversation with yourself. You wake up in the morning and pray, "Everything will be okay." That sentence isn't just a wish. It sends a message to your brain, "I am ready and focused." And psychologically, that feeling is extraordinarily powerful. This is where it gets interesting. When people pray, something very subtle happens. They slow down. Their breathing changes. Their thoughts become more organized. And the chaotic noise inside the mind gradually begins to take shape. In psychology, this resembles what happens during deep reflection. Sometimes even what happens during therapy. Prayer takes scattered fear and transforms it into an ordered language. Instead of feeling crushed, the person begins to process the problem. In fact, prayer is one of the oldest forms of psychotherapy. Telling someone the fears you couldn't say out loud, the ones you couldn't even admit to yourself. This is a process of externalization. You take the problem out of yourself and place it outside. The mechanism of prayer is actually very similar to keeping a journal or going to therapy in modern psychology. Who your listener is becomes secondary to the relief you feel in that moment. Neuroscience has discovered something remarkable. When scientists examined the brains of people who pray or meditate using MRI machines, they saw a fascinating picture. During prayer, the brain regions related to self-awareness and social cognition light up. Especially the prefrontal cortex, our decision-making mechanism, becomes active. Attention increases. Emotional balance strengthens. Stress signals begin to fade. The brain moves away from panic mode and shifts into a calmer state of thinking. Instead of feeling alone and vulnerable in the universe, the mind creates a listener for itself. And even if that listener is imaginary, the brain's response is real. So prayer creates a biological shift inside the mind. Not supernatural, but profoundly human. There's a reality in medicine called the placebo effect. As long as the body believes it will heal, it produces real biological responses, even to sugar pills with no actual effect. Prayer is the mind's most powerful placebo. Setting an intention that something will get better and putting it into words triggers the release of dopamine and serotonin in the brain. Believing that a solution exists lowers cortisol, the body's stress hormone. Patients in hospitals report needing less pain medication just from sincerely praying, "I will get better." Why? Because the reward and relaxation centers in your brain are being activated. So by praying, you are actually regulating your own biochemistry, independent of whether God exists. Think about what anxiety actually is. Anxiety is the brain trying to solve a future problem. But there is no clear solution. The mind keeps generating scenarios over and over again. What if this happens? What if everything goes wrong? Prayer breaks this loop. Instead of endless mental noise, the mind creates a brief moment of surrender. This is not a surrender of defeat. It's a surrender to uncertainty. Control isn't in my hands, but in a force I trust. This thought eliminates that paralyzing feeling of helplessness. And strangely, this surrender most often brings relief. Studies show, in people who pray regularly, cortisol drops noticeably. Breathing slows. Heart rate returns to normal. Anxiety decreases. Sleep improves. The immune system strengthens. So does prayer really work? The answer depends on what we mean by work. Does it change the laws of the universe? Maybe. Maybe not. But there's something else it clearly changes. The human mind. Prayer gives people a language for hope. It offers a ritual for uncertainty. It creates a brief moment of calm within chaos. Most of the time, prayer doesn't change the outside world, it changes the person praying. When the mind calms, decisions become clearer. When fear fades, confidence grows. And suddenly the same situation begins to look different. From the outside, prayer may seem to have changed reality. But most of the time, what changes is the person facing that reality. In the end, friends, prayer is not just a religious ritual. It's a survival mechanism thousands of years in the making. Our minds need that fuel called hope to stay standing in this vast universe they cannot fully make sense of. Perhaps prayer works not so much for others to hear us, but for us to hear our own voice. Whether God exists or not, the healing power of intention, focus, and surrender is always within us. So the next time someone says prayer works, maybe the deeper question isn't, who is listening? Maybe the real question is, when we speak into the silence, what changes inside us? If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and write in the comments. What do you feel when you pray? See you in the next video. Take good care of yourselves.